Now, I'm not one to gossip, so you didn't hear this from me, but The Wheel of Time is pretty good. Just throwing that out there. All right, so I just got back from a early screening of episode 1 and 2 of the Amazon show The Wheel of Time. They did an early screening nearby, and I went and saw it. So the first half of this video is going to be my reaction, spoiler-free, to what I saw. And then the second half, I'll jump into spoilers and just talk about what I saw. Now, I don't know if there's any kind of review embargo going on right now, so to my knowledge, it's okay to post this. If you only see the spoiler-free half and you don't see the spoiler half, that means I got hit with some sort of copyright and had to take that part down, and we'll upload it on Friday. If you see both halves, then great. Unless you don't want to be spoiled, then, don't watch the second half. Okay, so my initial spoiler-free reaction to the first 2 episodes, I would have to say I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Maybe a 7 out of 10. And I have to sit on it a little longer and let it resonate, and I don't know. Oh, also, this video is going to be barely edited because I just wanted to record my thoughts and then get those thoughts to you. So here they are. So the first 2 episodes, there's almost this feeling that everything is rushed, that we're jumping right in, which is great and expected, honestly, because I recently just read The Eye of the World. As slow as that pace was, and it was nice to get to know all the characters and the environment and Emmons Field and the 2 rivers and all the little towns around there. That was great, and I understand we're not going to get the same level of detail in a TV show that we would in a book. Makes sense. Still, it felt a little bit rushed, and I understand why, but it still felt like that. And that's probably my biggest gripe. Overall, still there were emotional parts that hit. There were some surprises, and as somebody that, like I said, just read The Eye of the World and then saw this, and I was still surprised by some things. And so just because you've read the books, you're not going to know everything that happens. So there's that. Oh, and then probably my biggest gripe from the trailers was that when Moraine used magic, anytime in the trailer you just see the white floaty stuff all around, and I was like, I don't know, that could look better. What you don't get to see in the trailers, except for one of them when she throws fireballs, but the elements that come along with it, those look really cool. And seeing that, I was like, okay, the magic, it works. I'm on board with this. I think it looks cool. I was pleased. Barney Harris as Matt Cawthon is perfection. I've never seen his other performances, but the dude is charismatic, and he's fun to watch. And his timing when he says his lines is just perfect. And Perrin is still my favorite. I'm not going to talk about key details yet, but the actors did a phenomenal job. You can go in and be relieved, okay, it works. The actors can do their job. Yes, the sound, the music, that is also solid. I'm a little curious to see if people who don't care at all about the books, never read them, never going to read them, if those kind of people see this and get hooked. I'm really curious to see, if you're a longtime fan of the books, obviously, you already care about these characters, and you'll probably be excited right off the bat. And me, just getting into the series, I've read Eye of the World, I'm working my way through The Great Hunt. I'm excited. I see the characters, I know who they are, and I'm pumped, and I'm excited and satisfied. But somebody who does not know them, jumping into this for the first time, I think it will still be fun for them. That's my assumption, that this should still work. We'll have to wait and see. I can tell already this series is going to be very rewatchable. I already would love to be able to go and rewatch what I've already seen right now because everything happens so fast that it's like, boom, we're here, and then I won't go into details yet. But everything happens so fast where it's like, man, I want to see that again. And the action is very satisfying. I'd love to watch it again. I think this is going to be a very bingeable series. I could totally see like 6 months from now, people being like, you know what? I feel like binge watching Wheel of Time today, season 1, the whole thing. And you just sit home and you shut the drapes and you just watch the entire series and watch the entire season, in one sitting. It feels like that. It feels like it's a very bingeable series. I understand and fully support the decision to have weekly uploads because I think just for the health of the series and for fan engagement and hype and things like that, it gets people talking about it for longer. And then we can all together as a fan base look forward to every Friday. Like, all right, here we go again. And just, you savor it. You just get more of it. And then at the end, you can binge it. Once it's done, you can binge the whole thing. It's very bingeable, okay? I'm happy with what I saw. Now, I'm going to jump into the spoiler section. Again, I hope this is cool. If you don't want to hear any sort of spoilers for the first 2 episodes, leave now and come back after you watch it on Friday. Yeah, so let's get into it. You've been warned. And now, here we are. All right, so they kill Nynaeve in episode 1. And initially, I was like, no way. That's BS. I don't believe it. Not for a second. Nah. But then, all the characters keep talking about it like, yeah, no, man, if Nynaeve was here, she'd be arguing with Moraine. And then Rand's character actually is the one arguing with Moraine. He kind of blows up on her multiple times. And I'm like, they actually build up his character to where he kind of takes on Nynaeve's role almost. Like he's angry. This is angry Rand. This is not quiet, scared of the Aes Sedai Rand that we have in the books. Like he doesn't trust them, but he's very open about it. He's like, I don't know what you're up to, what you're planning, but you need to tell us right now, what's going on. And he's like an angry teenager. And because of that, I was like, oh, they actually killed her. What? I was shocked. But then by the end of the 2nd episode, you find out she's still alive. So that's fine. Again, Barney Harris as Matt is perfect. I said that in the spoiler-free part. But in this one, just again, I need to reiterate, man, I wish he could have stayed on because he's great for this role. Like his timing, like he doesn't say lines necessarily from the book, but it's like, yeah, Matt would say that. That is totally a Matt thing to say. Now, what I thought was really interesting, Matt and Perrin get a little more backstory. They kind of throw in extra characters to try to get you to care more, which honestly, I liked. I talked to some people in the elevator after leaving the theater and they're like, I don't know, why'd they do that? And I was like, I think it's for non-book readers to really build sympathy for these characters. Like for Perrin, they give him a love interest. And so when he leaves Emond's Field, he's leaving something behind. And with Matt, they give him just a terrible father, and then a very sad mother, and then his 2 little sisters that he's leaving behind now to go on this, I don't want to say adventure because they're fleeing for their lives. So it's not like they're leaving for a fun adventure, but yeah, they're leaving stuff behind. You get the feel that the whole Emond's Field 5, they're all the main characters. It's not just Rand's story. That's a bit different from the books. I mean, eventually the books, they all, you get a few different POVs and it splits up. But this is like that from the beginning. You get to see the Trollocs attack Emond's Field, and you get to see that from the point of view of Nynaeve and Perrin and Matt and all the people in the village fighting. You get to see Moraine and Lan just destroy Trollocs, which are great. And the Trollocs themselves, they're people in costumes, and you have a lot of shaky cam. So you don't really get to like stare at them and nitpick and be like, well, that's just a dude in a costume. The camera's just kind of like waving all over the place, which I know some people really don't like, But I think it works here because with all the special effects and everything going on, and it's hard to pull off magic in fantasy settings and creatures and all these supernatural things. But if you have shaky cam, it helps. It makes it more passable. I just think it works. Oh, and then Rand and Egwene are a couple right away. Like they see each other, they're looking to each other, and then they start kissing, and then they do a lot more than kiss. And they're already a thing. They clearly love each other. It's not like in the book where, you know, they're hiding their feelings. They can't even admit the feelings they have for each other to themselves, let alone to each other. In this one, we skip all that. They have feelings. It's very clear. It's there, okay? So then later, when they get into arguments, it adds a little something to it. It adds another dimension, I guess, to the conflict, which I really enjoyed. In the second episode, you get to briefly see Balsamon, and he was kind of meh. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to get over my personal headcanon of seeing like Balsamon as this like distinguished man in a suit, and because what you see is a guy in a mask, and then he has flames for eyes. You only see him for like a second, so it's hard to like reimagine, okay, what did I actually just see? Just in the woods, there's this person wearing some kind of mask, and the whole dream sequence, by the way, was really cool. Like, you can tell. You could be like, oh, everything's different. This is a dream, and it just works. But then by the end of the dream, you see Balsamon, and maybe when we see more of him, he'll look cooler. But my initial knee-jerk reaction was kind of like, yeah, that could have been better. Oh, and the White Cloaks are vicious, and you get the sense that they're vicious in the books, but this really spells it out for you. Like, the character you see burning somebody alive in the trailer, he's burning an Aes Sedai alive, chops off her hand, he's playing with her hands, he's all bloody, and he's going to be a really annoying and good villain. I look forward to seeing much more of him. And that's another thing. The blood. There's one moment in the during the Trollocs attack on Emmonsfield where Perrin is just he takes his axe and just bashes this Trolloc in the face repeatedly, and blood's flying all over him, and he's just hitting it more and more and more, and there's blood everywhere. And then somebody's dying in front of him, and blood's popping out of their mouth, and the Grimdark fan in me was pleasantly surprised. I was like, wow, didn't expect that. Early on in the first episode, there was a surprising amount of landscape shots. They're all beautiful, which is great, and it really helps paint the picture. I mean, it does a good job of making you feel like Emmonsfield is a real place, and they are really isolated out in the middle of nowhere. There's just mountains and forest all around them. But man, there was a lot of landscape shots. At least that's what it felt like on my initial watch. And then Moraine straight up kills the guy that helps ferry them across the river. So when they're getting chased through the forest by all the Trollocs, I can't say Trolloc. Trolloc? Trollocs. By all the Trollocs. In the book, they pay the man, right? They pay him and his men to hurry up, we need to go in the middle of the night. And then she turns around and she destroys his raft, or his ferry, his piece of wood that floats across the river. She destroys that with her magic. In this one, they pay him, and they get to the other side, but the man's by himself, and he goes, but my family's on the other side that we just left. So after they cross, he's like, I need to go back for my family. And there's this horde of Trollocs all through the forest, just waiting on the other side. And they do a good job making that look pretty intimidating. There's a ton of these monsters on the other side of the river. And Moraine's like, you can't go back. Your family's gone. And just kind of expecting him to be on the same page as her and accept that, which of course he doesn't. And so he tries to go back to the raft, and she's destroying it, and she's like, no, don't. And then he jumps in, and he just gets caught in the whirlpool and just gets demolished with the raft. And so she straight up kills the guy, basically. And I wasn't expecting that, but it I would say it really adds to the feeling that Moraine is a woman on a mission. She doesn't care about all the extra stuff. She just wants to do this mission. She has, I feel like it's a good character moment, I guess, for people who are new to the series. They'd be like, oh, okay, she's gonna get the job done no matter what. And then they have a moment with Perrin and some wolves, which was kind of cool. I'm a big Perrin fan. I'm a fan of wolves in general too, so he kind of sees them. It's pretty random where they throw it in. They're traveling through the forest, but he's by himself and he's looking at a wound he has, and then he's surrounded by wolves, and one of them comes up and licks the wound, and he just kind of looks at them, and then all the wolves run off, and you're like, they have an understanding. But I do like, occasionally, as they're going throughout the woods, when they show Perrin, you'll hear wolves howling in the background, and they do it a couple times. I thought that was a really cool touch. And then you see Shatter Logoth in the second episode, by the end of it. And they try to stay there for a night, of course. And then we don't actually see any people. And so the evil in Shatter Logoth, instead of being this wall of mist, if I remember correctly, it's like a big wall of mist and it like has these little arms that are reaching out and grabbing Trollocs and reaching for Moraine and everybody. It's actually just darkness that like crawls across the floor, goes up the walls and things like that. And it straight up melts one of the horses. And the Trollocs in the show don't even attempt to walk in the city. They stop on the outside, they stop chasing Moraine in them, and they're just like, no, we're not going in there. And then, so then we have the Emmonsfielders and Moraine in them split up, just like in the book, after that. And that's basically where episode 2 finishes. Oh, and then the intro for The Wheel of Time, like the opening sequence, is really cool. It reminds me a little bit of Game of Thrones. I feel like a lot of shows do that now, where they kind of, they play really cool music, and they'll show, like for The Wheel of Time, they show this giant weaving machine. I forget the name of what it's called, but a machine used to weave a bunch of threads, and a bunch of different colored threads. But the intro was really cool. All right, well, if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, and then after episode 3 comes out on Friday, I will have another video. If this gets taken down, then you'll see this on Friday when the show comes out. And until next time, later.